Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics. In this video, I'd like to discuss the emerging clashes that are starting to take place between the EU and the UK over its upcoming trade negotiations due to start in earnest next month, and also unpicking the real meaning of terms that Boris Johnson is trying to clumsily use. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, then please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So the first thing to note when I'm referring to Boris Johnson's Australia-style deal is that I mean just that. I'm not talking, just as he's not talking, about a trade deal with Australia, which of course we're going to want to work on, and we're talking about the eventual trade deal with the EU along the line of using certain models. Boris Johnson is using Australia deal as a euphemism for a trade model, and Brexiteers have been doing this for the past few years. We were told about the Norway model, the Switzerland model, the Canada model. None of them bore any resemblance to the realities of the deal between the EU and those countries. But that was fine. It was used for a population that were not going to go and look up what those deals entailed. They were used to persuade an ignorant population that our best of both worlds unicorn deal with the EU was of course possible, because why wouldn't it be? It exists for other countries already. That's the line that was used. Why can't we have a Norway model? Norway have it. Why wouldn't we? We're a more important customer than Norway. And the population went, yeah, that makes sense. But what the general population understood by the Norway model is not actually the Norway model. Of course, they emphasised all the benefits, but they were ignoring all the downsides to them. But all of those countries do indeed have deals with the EU that grant a measure of access to Europe's single market, and all of those trade models could be fleshed out for the UK if we accepted the responsibilities as well as the freedoms that they bring. But Boris Johnson isn't really interested in responsibility, and indeed he's ruled out responsibilities just as other Brexiteers have as well. And given that he's ruled out all of the not talked about features of the Norway model, the Switzerland model and the Canada model, he's now talking about the Australia model. But everyone knows that this is a euphemism for no deal at all. Not, unfortunately, the British population, for whom the term is intended to inspire hope, because if they knew, then there'd be no point in talking about Australia-style deal. Because if you were to ask the average Brexit-supporting citizen in Britain, what do you think of Boris Johnson's plans for an Australia-style deal? They'll probably be fairly supportive of it. Now ask them, so what does that mean exactly? And they may falter. Then tell them that Australia doesn't have a deal with the EU, and they may be a little confused, because that's the reality. Australia doesn't have a deal with the EU. They're negotiating one, but that is still in the early stages, because they only started in 2018. Now that might seem like a long time ago for those who believe that Boris Johnson can negotiate a whole trade deal in less than 10 months. But in the land of reality, less than 2 years is very early days of negotiating a comprehensive trade deal, which is why everyone in British diplomatic circles, and indeed European diplomatic circles, and indeed global diplomatic circles, knows that when our Prime Minister talks about an Australia-style deal, he's talking about no deal. It's why von der Leyen has been mocking Johnson for his use of the term. In a speech she gave, she said, "The question is whether we agree a trading relationship with the EU comparable to Canada's or more like Australia's." Honestly, I was a little bit surprised to hear the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom speak about the Australia model. Australia, without any doubt, is a strong and like-minded partner, but the European Union does not have a trade agreement with Australia. We are currently trading on WTO terms. So when she refers to Canada, that means the comprehensive trade deal that Boris Johnson promised to pursue, though his timetable makes it impossible. Or Australia, which means no deal and potentially just a few bilateral agreements on a few areas of trade. And as I say, Australia is negotiating a trade deal with the EU right now. That means that Australia do not like their current terms. They do not like trading with the EU on WTO terms, and they wish to upgrade them. The UK, in moving from a trading relationship that we currently have, that Australia would like, because they're trying to negotiate it, towards what Australia have right now, is therefore seeking not to upgrade, but to downgrade. We know Johnson wants no deal. The EU knows Johnson wants no deal. His language is being used merely to keep the only people on earth not aware that Johnson wants no deal being the British population who voted this madman back into office. So I hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, then please also click the Patreon link for details. And until next time, I'll see you later.